Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take for Market Rebellion on this shortened week. So keep that in mind as you're getting involved in the markets and obviously all the travel and Thanksgiving and the holiday and everything. Just be aware of what's going on and definitely stay safe. So when we look back to Friday, we look at the Dow. That didn't look too safe. As a matter of fact, that was under some heavy pressure very early in the session, continued to have pressure throughout the day, and actually closed near the lows, down about 265, 270 points to the downside. So that didn't look so great. But you look over at the NASDAQ and a completely different story there. The movement was similar, but it was moving back to the upside. And as we actually closed, we closed just off of those highs, right around up 60 or 65 points on the trading session. So a little bit of that, what we've been seeing, and matter of fact, that was the story of the week last week, was some of that disconnect coming back into play, not moving in concert together as much, but seeing a definite disconnect between the NASDAQ and what we're seeing out of the Dow. So crude continues that plunge to the downside that we've been talking about. As we've been doing that, we've been talking about how that's been affecting energy. We closed around 76 on Friday as far as crude is concerned, 76.11 to be precise, but that's a long ways now from that 85 level that we had gotten up to and started hitting. And then we talked about how we completely dried up on energy and then everything moved towards EV. Well, those EVs continue to be absolutely on fire. That's where the option activity is, and some of the incredible performance. We're seeing more and more of that with the NIOs of the world, the Rivians, Teslas, all of that, as well as the charging and the lithium companies and all the rest of it. So we had a volatility range that was a little bit bigger. It stretched a little bit. We were 17 to about 19. We finished the day just underneath 18 at 1790 for the volatility index. So kind of steadily been creeping up off of those 15, 16s up towards that 18 level where we find ourselves, at least on Friday and a little bit of today as well. Volume, absolutely got to highlight this. It's not necessarily a record, but it's daggone close. We're looking at volumes on Friday, 52.8 million contracts trading on Friday. I actually took a moment and looked back. My first year trading, 1992, when I had left football and gotten into the trading world, we traded a less than a million contracts total. The entirety, total, under a million. Matter of fact, it was closer to about 800,000. Now, 52.8 million. Oh, by the way, Apple traded 3.3 million itself. Tesla, 1.9 million. I look over at Lucid, that was 1.4 million. That's been a stock absolutely been ripping to the upside on a tear, and part of that EV space as well. And we continue to see the options activity in there. We've seen even quite a bit last week. NVIDIA, one of those names that does participate in a lot of what's going on in the vehicle world, but also a lot of different other areas in which it's feeding upon. And because of that, continues to be very active, continues to skyrocket to the upside. And NVIDIA traded a little over a million contracts. Facebook just under a million, 950,000 contracts for Facebook. But we continue to average 44 million contracts per day, and that just continues to move to the upside. That'll continue to move a little bit higher to the upside after these numbers are pressed into that as well. So what did we look like as far as some of the sector movements? Well, we already talked about the Dow, we talked about the NASDAQ, so it'll make sense to you with the technology names. That was actually to the upside, up about 0.75% for tech. We also had semiconductors hitting another new high. That was up about 0.7%. But we did have pressure on financials. Take a look over at the 10-year, right around 1.4. It's been in that range, as we've talked about. It was down about 1% when we look at the financials. Energy absolutely was getting hammered. And thank goodness we've been talking about this. We've been very, very clear. We dried up on energy. We moved over to EVs. Energy down another 2%. Actually, by the end of the day, down about 4% for energy. So following right along with crude as we've had that pullback into it. Some of the movers that we had into it, that was up 10%. But here's one of those names that I got to tell you something. It's been a favorite of mine for a long time. Traded as the specialist on the trading floors of the Chicago Board Options Exchange as well. We talk about so many. We talk about AMD. We talk about Intel. We talk about NVIDIA. We talk about Taiwan Semi, all these various names. We don't give enough attention to Micron. It's a stock that I own, and it's not because I own it. I'm just pointing this out. Take a look at this year's performance. Take a look at the last month. Take a look at whatever time frame you want to look at right now in 2021, and take a look at what's been going on with Micron quietly, because nobody talks about this name. Just something that I want to throw out there to you. And oh, by the way, there was some option paper in there today, looking for even more upside, just as a little teaser. So Micron was up about 8% on Friday. Moderna was up about 5% on Friday. Nvidia, of course, had another good day. Tesla had a very nice solid day. You know what didn't have a solid day? We talked about energy. How about those beta names? Devon Energy was down about 6%. I got a little list here. I got Hess, Baker Hughes, APA, Schlumberger, all down somewhere between 5% or more on the session. So it gives you an idea of how those beta names in energy were absolutely getting smacked to the downside. Boeing, another one of those names. The Chinese names actually had a little bit of strength on Friday. So that obviously many of those names fitting into that NASDAQ world and helping lift that up as well. So we come in today, the shortened week. We all know about it. Thursday obviously closed. So as we get into this shortened week, however, we have to keep an eye on a lot of different things. Today, we already got the news about the Fed, talking about Chair Powell, and the reaction in the markets was very, very dramatic and happened immediately from some of this numbers. So pre-market, we're up about 130. By the time we get going and really get revved up, we're up 170, then we're up 200, then we're up 250, then we're up 300. And we pulled back off of that just a little bit. Of course, nothing goes in a straight line forever. But in this first hour, definitely seeing that Dow having a really, really great start to the day. We'll see if that continues. We're in the first hour. We got the NASDAQ up 75, 80, 100, 150 points. A really solid move out of the NASDAQ as well. But it's the financials today having a really, really good day, moving to the upside. They were up over 1% early, up 1.5% as the market started to accelerate to the upside. Technology as well. Technology started off pretty well. Then we really took off, up nearly 1.5% early on. Take a look at what's happening with Apple. So many people, and I just tweeted about this, so many people talk about Apple and say, well, it's not really doing anything, Pete. You know, it's not that exciting. It's not this, it's not that. I beg to differ. I know that you have pauses once in a while, and we talk about that. We talk about the healthiness of the markets where you do get a pause. Nothing continues to go straight up consistently without some form of a pullback or a pause. We've seen a little bit on Apple. We have had Apple hit on multiple occasions in the month of November, monstrous upside buying. And by the way, absolutely rocketing to the upside, all-time highs, establishing new all-time highs almost daily. If you go to the last week and then you get into this week, really, really an incredible move from Apple, up about 3%. And this is a monstrous company. So a company like that moving up 3%, that's a heck of a statement. So we see that going on. Plus, I look over and I look at JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, definitely great contributors for the Dow and the move to the upside, throw in Apple. And of course, you got a pretty solid group that's leading the markets to the upside. Throw in Microsoft. We got a lot of option activity in so many different areas right now, specifically semiconductors today. Just keep an eye. I can't give you all of them because that's not fair for everybody else. But I will say this, semiconductors absolutely on fire on the unusual option activity. I didn't even pull one of those. I got a couple others that I'm going to hit in just a second. So Tesla, that's up about 3%. Wells Fargo, we talk about the financials moving to the upside, up 3 to 4%. Micron adding another 2.5% on top of what we've seen on Friday. Yes, that stock continues to move to the upside. And I will give you this teaser, a lot of unusual option activity hitting in there today. Xilinx up a little bit as well. Chinese names stepping it up just a tad. NetEase, PDD, some of those kind of names. But there's a little bit of pressure out there. We've been talking about some of these, the Activision Blizzard. We look at EA, both of those down, maybe even for different reasons, but both of those moving to the downside. Names like Newmont and Freeport Mac pulling back just a little bit in the materials space. That's okay. Nothing goes in a straight line, as we talked about. You take a look at what's going on with Freeport, and that has made an incredible move to the upside, but it doesn't mean every single day is to the upside. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's what we've been seeing on a Freeport for multiple months now. Peloton just cannot find a direction other than down. Down another 3% today. We talk about Apple being strong. I got 2 unusuals. I'm out of here. And then I am going to be here tomorrow with the take, but I'm also going to be on the halftime report and the 4 p.m. show, the Fast Money show as well. So it's going to be a really, really busy day tomorrow. Today, I still have WCCO radio. You can more than welcome to listen in. That's going to be right at the top of this hour. It's going to be pretty fun. WCCO, they got their streaming app. You should want to check it out. We'll do about a little football, some finance, a little bit of other stuff. Should be a lot of fun. That's today. So unusual. Let's hit the very first one. Tesla. Not shocking, but I'm gonna hit this one, and I'm gonna also put a little caveat there saying One of the reasons we don't highlight Tesla and some of these very high dollar names is because when you've got high dollar names, you've got high dollar options oftentimes tied to that. So just want to point this one out because it just shows you how, despite the fact that it's right up towards the highs, looks like somebody thinks it might even go a little bit higher. So what do we got going on today? Stock trading 1186. Yes, 1186 is where the stock is. Very early in the session. We got a buyer of nearly 15,000 of the November 26th. Yep, that's Friday. November 26th expiring options. The 1200 strike. Now these options are going for $19.50 up towards $32 on these options. Not cheap. I understand that. I'm just pointing out where we are seeing some of the activity. We talk about NEO, we talk about Lucid, we talk about a lot of these other EV plays, Rivian and so forth. Tesla today, that's some huge options. If nothing else, it's great to just memory bank these monstrous options we are seeing in the EV space. As I was talking about, when we rolled out of energy and into EV, EV has taken over. Electronic vehicles, battery stations, charging units, lithium, all of that has taken over. Next, I got Facebook. Stock trading 352, call it 352 and a half. We got buyers of 8,700 of this Friday's expiring November 26th, 355 call. So just out of the money. They're just up above where the stock is trading right now. Those started out at a little under $3. They finished paying up to $5. And let me explain why that looks like it does and why does it move like it did. So when they started buying, stock was trading about 348. When they finished buying, stock was trading a little over 352. So as the stock was moving higher and some of the implied volatility is getting pumped into those options because of buyers, supply and demand, suddenly there's demand. You're going to pull a little supply and you're going to put those prices a little bit higher and see how much somebody's willing to pay. That's exactly why this looks like it does. They started off under $3. They finished up almost $5 on these options. And that's because of the stock movement, implied volatility, and that supply demand, of course. That's a big part of this as well. Folks, I hope you have a very successful day trading. This first hour has already been unbelievable. A new start. We had expiration on Friday. We got the shortened week. Keep that in mind that the shortened week is here as well, because taking away a day, that is very meaningful. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.